So have y'all seen the new Xbox 360 dashboard now that the online store is closed? Well, if you haven't, this is what it looks like now. And I gotta be honest, I'm not terribly opposed to this very simple look for the dashboard. My favorite Xbox 360 dashboard was the Blades interface, but part of that is nostalgia, but the other part of it is the fact that it was extremely focused on just the content of the console. And with all of the online ads gone from the dashboard because the store is closed, it really showed just how cluttered the interface was because of all these sign on, new deals, games, all that kind of stuff. Although there are some issues I have with it, not just from an aesthetic standpoint, like the fact that now all the icons are rectangular, so thumbnails for games on disc are stretched instead of just changing the aspect ratio for them, but there's other things. But before we get into that, I did actually make a video before the store closed talking about why the future of gaming is really going to suck when stores start closing down like they did for the Xbox 360. And one of the things I mentioned in that was the fact that the 360, the PS3, basically that generation of consoles is the last generation of consoles where you can really play the games on the disc even though the store is closed, because all of, or at least most of, the big titles for this console had both a digital and a physical release, and those games had to be on the discs so that you could actually play the game off the disc, especially with the Xbox 360, since those shipped with as little as 4 gigabytes of internal storage, or if you had something like one of the original, what was it called, the Classic console, that thing had no internal storage, or at least not enough to really put a game in it, so you had to be able to play off the disc. So yeah, enjoy the fact that even though the store closed on the 360, you can still play most of the major titles because you can just go to a store and buy the disc. Now the disc prices are going up because of this, but at least you can still do it. When this happens on something like the Xbox One, the PS4, the PS5, and the Xbox Series X here in 20, 25 years, well, the discs don't hold anything, so, well, they hold, you know, the install for half the game. Anyway, sorry, I'm rambling. I'm just kind of going off of talking points. I didn't really script this video because I just want to talk about what it's like using the Xbox 360 post-store close. And like I said, I don't mind this simplified interface. I think it's much cleaner. I really do like this because I miss the games-focused interface and not the ads everywhere with the game you want to play up in the corner and your games down in the bottom corner. I like seeing just what I want to use the console for and no advertisements. However, the simplicity does raise a question, which is that the console, or at least Microsoft said that the console can download games that you've already purchased from the store even though the store is closing. But you have home, social, and settings. Where can I download the game? Well, see, this is where it gets confusing. And if I'm saying it's confusing, somebody who's been using an Xbox 360 since they first came out, it's going to get confusing for people who haven't picked one up in a while and are maybe buying one because they're cheap now, or, I don't know, dusting one off because the store closed to relive some old titles. Yeah, if I'm saying it's confusing, it's going to be confusing for them because I have played these things for over a decade now, and I was confused by this. Because here's the thing, when you play a game off the disc, it comes up, you play it, that's it. You do have the option to hit X, which gives you game details, and you're able to see things like previously purchased DLC, add-ons, things like that, and you can re-download those previously purchased add-ons. I did this with Halo 3 when I went to download the Mythic and Mythic 2 packs, which I had already purchased, so that wasn't really a problem. But what about full games? Sticking with Halo 3 for a second because, well, I'm a massive Halo fanboy and it was also the game I was experimenting with. When I took my digital purchase of Halo 3 and deleted it from the console and deleted the disc install from the console, I couldn't find it anywhere. And when I did search for it and pulled it up, I didn't have the option to re-download it, even though I had the option to re-download add-ons like the Map Pack DLCs. So I figured, okay, maybe I have to put the disc in and it'll give me those options. So I put the Halo 3 disc in, which seems counterintuitive because if Microsoft said you can re-download digital purchases, I don't think you should have to have the disc, but we'll play along. I put the disc in, I hit X for game details. It took me to the game details page on the Xbox Store, whose backend still kind of exists, and if you click on add-ons that you haven't purchased and try to purchase them, well, you're greeted with the unable to purchase screen, but that's neither here nor there. Either way, going back to the section that gives you the option to install, when the disk is in the console and you click install, it installs it from the disk, which is at least a nice option to have because it means that you can have the disk, and if the disk is sort of damaged or gets damaged after you've installed it, you can still play the game because it's coming from the hard drive. But there's still no option to re-download the game that I purchased, which just torques me off, and again is another reason why I like to own things physically. But it kind of gets more confusing because once I installed it from the disk, I figured let's take the disk out and see if it plays, and obviously it doesn't. So I don't have the option to re-download my purchased copy of Halo from the online store, but then I also have the ability to install it because that's not based on the store. So how am I going to re-download this? Well, in the case of Halo 3, the only way I could get it back onto my console was to pull the hard drive off of my original console, the one I just showed you, plug it into a data transfer cable, which are becoming as rare as hen's teeth in some areas nowadays because who really had one of those? And once the original hard drive was plugged into the transfer cable and the transfer cable was plugged into the Xbox 360E, I was able to go into the original hard drive and find my digital download of Halo 3, which is now never getting uninstalled from that hard drive, and I could copy it from that hard drive to the Xbox 360E to get it back again. But it's even more confusing than that. Because like I said, going into the game details section does give you some elements of the store, which means certain parts of the back end of that store still exist. I can re-download DLC that I've already purchased, so that was accurate, as Microsoft said. But then when I go to purchase something new, obviously it's not going to let me, which tells me that they basically just turned off the purchasing options for the store, and then also just blocked your direct access from the store, even though the back end is still up, which means that the functions are all still there, just turned off. I don't want to think about it too much because it doesn't make much sense why they would shut it off, considering it seems like the back end of the Xbox One and the Series X all share the same kind of back end as the 360, but yet the 360 got cut off because it's old. Regardless, let's talk about the other confusing thing. The other confusing thing is the fact that I had pinned my copy of Gears of War that I had purchased digitally to the My Pins section of the Xbox 360 dashboard. And so even though that wasn't installed on the hard drive, I could go in and I could re-download it, and it downloaded just fine. So what confuses me is that I can download Gears of War just fine, but yet Halo 3 seems to be off limits or just unable to be re-downloaded, even though I purchased both of them the same way through the same store. So, on one hand, Gears of War, exactly what Microsoft said I could do, I can do. Download it, play it, delete it, re-download it, doesn't matter, even though the store's closed. But Halo 3, I can't do that. I can't re-download it even though I purchased it. So what's up? Why? Like, actually, why? I feel like whatever Microsoft did with closing down the store, some things are just not ironed out or not solid right now, and my fear is that they will never become solid because by closing the store down, Microsoft has basically said, we're done with this console, so, get f***ed, nerd, if you can't download the game that you want. So, it's just so frustrating. And the fact that they cleaned up the dashboard to be this simplistic is good aesthetically, in my mind, aside from some of the aesthetic bugs, like the stretched thumbnails for the games. But because it's so simple, the search through the store for games you want to re-download becomes a bit of a pain in the ass, and getting to the store in general just to repurchase your games, period, seems to be unnecessarily complicated. And because it's kind of unnecessarily complicated, people have also already kind of found ways of getting back into the store, as well as getting the dashboard more cluttered again by basically just turning off your Wi-Fi so that you can see the blank spaces that would normally be filled with ads for the store. That's kind of weird. I mean, it feels like the logic behind Microsoft closing these stores down is Xbox 360 and store old, 360 store get closed, people buy Xbox Series X and S and maybe One, and store still open for those until we decide it won't be. Like, it's not consistent, I think, is the problem, in my opinion, because you can download some games, can't download other games. They said you can re-download your games, but some will, some won't. You can download your DLC, that seems to be working just fine, but you can't repurchase anything new. The back end of the store is still clearly there because people have exploited it to get onto the store, like I said. So what was the point of closing the store down if 90% of the functionality is still there? Servers are still up, games are still there. Why? Why close it down? That just, it doesn't make any sense to me, but it's what they did, and I'm 99% certain that they're not going to push any updates through to fix these things, like the exploits to get back onto the store, the re-download problems, the stretched thumbnails in the now rectangular icons that used to be square. I highly doubt they're going to fix any of that, but I guess we'll see. But I mean, at this point, this is just where we're at with gaming. These consoles are getting old. Companies are shutting down the stores. We had the eShop with the Wii U. We have now the Xbox 360 store, and the PSN is still technically active, and you can buy things for the PS3 on the PSN, but you have to add funds through the website, which is basically Sony just saying, hey, we're winding down our support of the PSN, so enjoy that while it's still up, Sony ponies, but realistically, this is the last generation of consoles, like I said, where you're going to be able to play games that you can buy physically without having to actually activate or download any portion of them online. So enjoy that, appreciate it, because in 20, 25 years, when the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X and S and the PS4 and the PS5, when all of these consoles, except maybe the Switch, lose support for the online shops that have to download these games that are bought on discs, we're just going to have a bunch of paperweights. I guarantee it. I'm calling it now. These new consoles are going to be paperweights because these companies are going to kill the servers to download the games, and the discs don't hold shit. That's just where we're at, and it sucks, but let me know what you all think in the comments. I just wanted to rant about this for a bit. The store is closed now, of course, and I like the simplistic design of the 360 interface now that we don't have all the ads for the store, but also I wish they would have put at least like a modicum of effort into making the re-download process more logical so that I can go on and find the games I did purchase and re-download them, and that it doesn't remove them from the store or remove them from the games list. Again, I'm ranting now because I didn't script this, and I'm just going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching. Let me know rather, what you all think about this store closing, the new interface, whatever. Just let me know. I'm so jaded to the way that consoles are being treated nowadays, and it's not going to get any better. So buy physical if you can, download on GOG or Steam if you can when you have a gaming PC, or if you have a gaming PC, and if you have a console, just rest in peace. All right. That's it. I'm done. You all have a great day. Thanks so much. If you enjoyed this video, like, and if you want to see more videos like this, maybe subscribe. It's up to you. But I'm going to go make some other stuff that I enjoy making, and I'm done ranting about the consoles shutting down. I am going to make a video talking about how I sold all my consoles, but that's for a future video. So again, subscribe so you don't miss that, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for being here. God, I'm all over the place. Thanks for being here, and have a good one.